In Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe, Faustus performs a ritual to invoke Mephistopheles, an agent of Satan, who gives him a contract to sign away his soul to the devil in exchange for 24 years of unlimited power. During the play, Faustus and Mephistopheles have a number of profound exchanges on matters of moral philosophy and metaphysics. The servant of Lucifer, Mephistopheles, is generally grim and, in his own way, tries to tell Faustus that hell is not all it is cracked up to be. He says, quote, "Why, this is hell, nor am I out of it. Think'st thou that I, who saw the face of God and tasted the eternal joys of heaven, am not tormented with 10,000 hells in being deprived of everlasting bliss?" Faustus is skeptical. He says that he considered hell to be a fable.
Tush, these are mere trifles and old wives' tales.
Mephistopheles explains once again.
Within the bowels of these elements, where we are tortured and remain forever, hell hath no limits, nor is circumscribed in one self-place. For where we are is hell, and where hell is, there must we ever be. And, to conclude, when all the world dissolves and every creature shall be purified, all places shall be hell that are not heaven.
Thus, hell is not a physical place, but a state of mind that has no limits. For where we are is hell. In his masterpiece, The Decline of the West, Oswald Spengler calls our current civilization Faustian. We, he says, are Faustian man. And I find this metaphor interesting because much as hell, according to Mephistopheles, is not a place but a mode of being, so too is modernity. Where we are is modernity, and it has no limits. Recently, at the event, there was much talk of authenticity. Mark, who has now uploaded his thought-provoking speech to YouTube, devoted much time to discussing why so many of us struggle to find real authenticity in this moment, and suggested that we might overcome the issue by rooting ourselves in local communities and taking direct action in a way that is physical rather than abstract and therefore real. However, I struggle with this. I happened to go on a nice country walk with my dad, my wife and a little one last week. You can see some of the shots of it here. Waterfalls, greenery, little bridges, old mine shafts. It was all very nice. But simply by virtue of being there in person, was an eternal Daria such as I, truly now to feel the, quote, authenticity of nature. Much like Mephistopheles, where we are is Daria. This is Gen X, nor am I out of it. In other words, it doesn't matter if I'm standing in front of a breathtaking waterfall. My mind, my eyes transmute what I'm seeing into my reality, and not vice versa. To the writers in the German idealist tradition, in which someone like Spengler would have been steeped by his education, this is not surprising. The subjective reality somehow trumps the imagined objective one, which is to say, the shadows on the wall of Plato's cave come to define the cave itself and everything else. And there is no escaping this. Let us take my little country stroll. In fact, it was about a 3-hour walk. My eyes saw these things, but my mind did this and this. Now it's framed. Now it is distance from what King Lear would call the thing itself. I've been here before in a video game. I've been here before in a video by Frody or by Morgoth. The frame removes the subject from the place itself, puts a little box around it, refers it to something else. Now I'm thinking about Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Saffron is telling me to switch off for once. Some other dude is telling me to enjoy the moment. But as I look up to see the trees and the clear water beneath me and the ancient hills above me, I still always already experience it all as a simulation, as if there's no real difference between that and a video game. They are both real inside my head, and they are both experienced as being somehow real, but at the same time unreal. The authentic experience is someone else's. It's like I'm Mephistopheles looking at heaven from the outside in and saying, that's not for me, that can't be for me. This is why so many thinkers have called what we're living through the postmodern condition. I'm sure many people watching this will find it easy to mock what I'm saying here and call me a bug man or whatever else. But this is a deep existential problem that faces not just me, but all of Western man. These posts I made on Twitter, making my supposedly authentic experience less authentic, more referential, more postmodern, are what you might call the Daria defense mechanism. These are things we joke about, but it's automatic. It protects Daria from ever having anything to do with what is truly profound. It's what you might call the cringe mechanism. It's the inability to process what is real for fear of confronting the total emptiness and meaninglessness of postmodern life head on. Yes, we are aware that it is empty and meaningless, but confronting the void head on is no less scary because of that. And so there are these myriad ironic and post-ironic methods of not doing so, of distancing, of saying all of that is over there and I'm aware of it. Christopher Marlowe wrote two versions of Dr. Faustus, known as the A text and the B text. At the end of the A text, Faustus is dragged to hell by demons. At the end of the B text, however, his body is ripped apart on stage by the same demons. He is literally torn limb from limb. And in this moment, all of Faustus's modern skepticism, his hubris and so on, are swept away by something inescapably real and horrifying. All through the play, God tries to get through to Faustus, telling him that all he has to do is swallow his pride and to seek forgiveness. But he can't do it. He feels it is beyond him. He feels somehow he owes it to Satan to honour their contract. He doesn't think he deserves to be saved. And so, in the end, he isn't. And I fear that unless something changes soon, neither will Faustian man.
Now available at the Academic Agency. Sharpen your analytical mind and your argumentation skills with Foundations of Logic. The course draws on the ancient wisdom of traditional logic that students learned for over 2,000 years, from the time of Aristotle through to the medieval schoolmen, right down to the 20th century. Sign up now for a free preview lecture.
Be sure to like this video and subscribe. And if you really like my content, maybe consider joining the channel or donating or maybe even buy a mug. I am grateful for all of your support. Now get out.